welcome to my channel. So my name is Paul, and today we're going to be talking about project management. Okay, specifically speaking, I'm going to be talking about tech project management from a consultant's perspective. Okay, so within this I'm going to be then talking about general project management versus tech project management and what are the differences between the two parties. Okay, then aside from that, also we're going to be talking about project management methodologies. What are the ones that you should actually be looking at? What are the ones that are in higher demand? Okay, and then lastly but not least, I'm going to be then talking about some tools that you should be actually using and leveraging so that you can actually better manage your project, so that you can actually have more success. Okay, so stick around to know more. Let's then talk about general project manager versus tech project manager. Okay, to start from, let's talk about some definitions. What is what? Okay, so when I'm talking about general project management, I'm talking about actually being responsible for the scope of the project, being responsible for the resources, being responsible for the different KPIs that could be, for instance, cost, delivering on time, against budget, etc. Okay, this is, let's say, the core of project management. Okay, it's a more of a kind of a coordinator position. Okay, where you actually manage the different parts. Let's say you work much more as a facilitator to make sure that the project is actually delivered with success. Okay, then looking at the tech side of things, okay, this is where things actually start to be really interesting. To start from, okay, let's define what is it that I mean with tech project management. I'm talking about someone that is actually delivering or implementing, let's say, CRM, marketing automation, CDPs. I'm talking about MDMs, okay, that kind of tech. Okay, so, and looking into this, what are then the differences between the two parts? Okay, to start from, is it that, for instance, someone that works as a tech project manager does not need to, for instance, have this control of the scope of the different resources, delivering against time, budget, etc. No, he or she still needs to do that. Okay, that is fundamental, but then this is where things actually started to be really different, in the sense that, and I'm talking about experience because I'm working within this area of project management as well since 2012. I already delivered more than 40 projects where I was part of, so already came across different types of profiles, people that are very knowledgeable and people that are not as knowledgeable, or people that are struggling, people that are transforming themselves. So I think this is why it's important for me to share this level of experience as well. Okay, not just the theoretical approach, but actually the concrete approach. But yeah, getting back to this. What is it that you need to take into consideration? You need to actually to have some degree of knowledge around CRM. Okay, if you're going to be implementing CRM, you need to understand CRM from a tech perspective. Okay, then you need to actually to understand, for instance, on the case of for instance ERPs, the same. In the case of for instance MDMs, the same. Okay, you need to have that level of technical knowledge, so that, for instance, when you are actually managing your team, you are challenging your team, the developers, the tech leads, the architects, etc. You actually know what is it that you're speaking of. Okay, and then on the flip side, if you have a conversation with the customer, okay, and this can be external customers or actually internal customers, okay, being a consultant or, for instance, someone that actually works inside the company. If someone actually raises a question to you, you don't want to be hesitating and don't know actually what is it that you should be saying. So this is why you should actually be at a level of tech understanding that needs to be deeper, okay, that when you are looking at the general approach, because you need to have this conversation with the team. You need to actually to be able to challenge the team, but you actually need to explain to the customer or to the internal stakeholder, what is this about? So that is one of the points that I would say that is actually different from this two type of project management. Okay, then the other point, that I would say that is also different is that, normally speaking, when we are talking about general project management, there is not, let's say, certain need, or really it's not mandatory, let's put it like that, that you actually have deep knowledge of the business, whatever that may be. Okay, but for instance, if you're working on the tech side of things, okay, as a project manager, you should. Okay, the reason for this is that, for instance, when you are implementing a solution, okay, that may be CRM, ERPs, I don't know, marketing automation, whatever that may be. Okay, this is not just about pushing the buttons and pressing the buttons. It's actually to challenge the customer or the internal stakeholder, or giving the advice on what would be then the best possible technical solution to overcome, or to help to solve, or even to solve a business challenge. Okay, for instance, I'm gonna go for a concrete example. So imagining that you are actually looking for implementing CRM, okay, but then someone says to you that there is a need from a business perspective actually to create a structure of lead generation and demand generation, okay, and then someone says to you, okay, just build that on top of the CRM. Okay, the CRM actually is not built for that. Okay, so what you need to have is actually a marketing automation solution in connection to the CRM, okay, that starts all the process of engaging via campaigns and using campaigns and other different type of let's say resources to actually to create this demand generation machine, this lead generation machine that would allow then for those that are actually on the CRM side, so mostly salespeople, to close the deal. Okay, so it's important for you actually not just to understand the technical part, but actually the business part, so that you can actually have a conversation with someone that sits on the marketing side, that sits on the sales side, or on the service side, as an example. Okay, may that be a conversation around data, may that be a conversation around different marketing channels, may that be a conversation around how is it that you can actually enable your sales team to go better, to actually improve themselves. Okay, so this is what I mean about business knowledge. You really need to understand what is the business that is going on, meaning on the other side, and so that you can actually have a proper business conversation, then you can actually propose the best possible solutions. Okay, so in a nutshell, and just to summarize, I would say that what you're going to get from general project management, you also will need in tech project management, that mean actually having the responsibility around the scope, delivering against budget, costs, etc. Okay, but on top of that, what you need to have is also tech knowledge. Okay, domain knowledge, may that be on CRM, on MDM, whatever that may be, but also on top of that, you need to have business knowledge. Okay, because you're going to be having conversations with architects, you're going to be having conversations with business stakeholders, etc., and you need to guide the project. And if you do not have an understanding of what is the business and what are the tech solutions that you have out there, my friend, you're not going to have success. Okay, so if you want to be a successful project manager, listen to what I'm saying to you and invest on those 2 points. Okay, so that's it for now. Stick around for the next one. Okay, let's then talk about project management methodology. Okay, what are the ones that you should actually be paying attention to? So today I'm going to be just covering 3, okay, but actually have much more. Okay, so I'll drop that there, okay, so that you can take a look. I wrote some time ago an article around different types of project management methodology. Take a look, and if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to help. Okay, but aside from that, also I'm going to drop there a link to one of the articles that I wrote also on LinkedIn. Okay, where you can see all the different project management. There is a really interesting chart that allows for you to have like a kind of a diagram that allows for you to actually have a full view of different types of project management and what is it that they are good for. Okay, so this actually takes us to the point that we should look at as a starting point. Okay, so you're gonna have loads of different project management methodologies, but you need to focus on those that are actually important and that are actually meaningful for you and for the type of project that you have. Okay, like for instance, if I look into my partner, okay, she's a consultant as well, okay, but she works on sustainability and architecture and construction. Okay, the type of project management that she does is completely different from the type of project management that I do. Okay, but then looking into this, okay, and once more giving you three. So the first one would be then waterfall. Okay, so waterfall, let's say, is the most classic kind of project management that is suited for more let's say traditional kind of companies, companies that are very focused on the planning side of things, that do not have loads of changes. Okay, if that is the case, then waterfall is exactly the thing for you. Okay, what entails is essentially you have strong planning. Okay, you have a discovery session, you have an agreement on everything that is let's say agreed upon the two parties in terms of business requirements, etc. All of that process it's closed, and then the idea is that you're going to be delivering on everything that was agreed upon upstream at the end of the project. Okay, and this is in a very high level waterfall. Okay, you're gonna find more here on the link that I mentioned. Okay, but then let's go then into hybrid, specifically Scrum, but also let's look then into agile, sorry, specifically Scrum, and then hybrid. Okay, so here I'm going to do a kind of a flip, and we're going to be actually looking first at the agile, okay, Scrum, and then from there we're going to go to hybrid. Okay, so looking then into agile, to start from, it's not true that agile in itself it's a kind of a methodology. Okay, it's much more of an umbrella of different types of methodologies that are agile. Okay, so for instance, you have Scrum, you have Kanban, and you have much more. Okay, so for today we're going to be focusing then in Scrum. Then you have, for instance, hybrid. That is a slightly different approach, but I will give you that in a sec. Okay, so what is it that you should be looking at into hybrid and where you should actually use it? So a kind of agile, sorry, and specifically Scrum. Okay, so Scrum is more useful, let's say, when you are looking at tech kind of implementations. Why? Because things tend to change a lot. The pace is much faster. Okay, some of the times you actually don't know exactly what is it that you are adding towards, so therefore you cannot actually plan heavily. Okay, but then there are a few things that you need to take a look at and pay and take that into account. So to start from, okay, within Scrum, you need to have a product owner, okay, on the other side. Okay, so a product owner needs to be someone that actually has an understanding of the solution that you're going to be implementing, okay, but also has an understanding what are the business requirements and priorities. Okay, he or she needs to be really part of the project. Okay, he needs to be really involved in the project and always available to correct things when needed. Okay, if that is not the case, then this is where Scrum becomes a problem, because there is no feedback from the other side, so you actually don't know exactly where is it that you should go. Okay, so this is one of the things that is really important, and most of the times one of the biggest pitfalls of Scrum. Okay, so then the other thing that you should look at is that the different ceremonies that you need to have in place in order actually to master Scrum and the project in itself. Okay, daily is a must. Okay, where essentially you have a daily meeting where you look to the entire sprint. Okay, and then within that you look at what is it that was done on the previous day, what is it that you're going to be doing today, and if you have any blockers. Okay, because it's your role as a project manager actually to unlock that and solve whatever needs to be solved. Could be a resource issue, could be a problem in terms of the business that still did not give the validation for whatever ticket is sitting there in the sprint cycle, in the sprint. So those are all the points that you should actually take a look while talking about the daily. Then aside from that, you have other topics. Okay, so for instance, you have things such as the sprint planning that is fundamental for you to look at what is it that you have on your backlog, and look what is it that should be part of your sprint. Okay, while doing sprint planning, another thing that I would give you as a tip is that try to have at least 2 sprints in advance. Okay, this will give you a better scope of or a better view of what is it that needs to be built, so that when you're building your first sprint, okay, you don't need to actually to rebuild stuff, because at least you know more or less what is it that you are adding. Okay, that is another thing. So then another point that I would underline looking at Scrum is that you should actually have a sprint ending where you are looking at best meaning not best practice, but actually lessons learned, or how is it that the sprint went, so that you can actually leverage those and actually push it to the next sprint. Okay, then let's look at hybrid. Okay, so hybrid is another project management methodology that is gaining a lot of trust, and the reason is quite easy. Okay, because with Scrum and then different types of agile techniques, let's say, or methodologies, you are coming across a few challenges. Okay, one of which is that if you do not have a product owner that gives you a bit of structure and planning towards the future, agile could become Scrum could become really difficult to manage. Okay, could become really a nightmare, with people just sending across more and more new let's say requirements, and there is no clear view of what is it that you need to go towards. Okay, so this is one of the points. Then the other point that I would say that is making hybrid really interesting is that some companies are actually just going into agile and into Scrum because it's fashion. Okay, actually they do not have a structure to go into agile. The reason for this is that most of the times they're working as a monolith. Okay, and they try to implement an agile approach that is continuous iterations, continuous evolutions, and for that you need to have someone, a product owner, that can give you that guidance. And if you do not have that, it's likely that you're going to fail, because you are actually not very sure of what is it that you're going to be building, and then at the end maybe that you are building something that does not go against then the business objectives. Okay, so this is where hybrid is coming along, because hybrid combines both waterfall with agile, Scrum, for instance. Okay, and then it implements and gives it the structure, okay, that is needed in terms of planning, discovery sessions, UATs, user acceptance tests, demos, internal demos, sessions of validation, training, etc. But aside from that, actually it works in terms of implementation in an agile manner. Okay, so allowing for iterations, okay, but allowing for actually changes of small changes of scope constantly, and that allows for having the both the let's say the good parts of both worlds. Okay, so one is the structure and the planning, and the other one is an agile way of implementing things. Okay, so this is my recommendation for you. Okay, take a look to those 3 types of project management. Waterfall, if you're looking to work on a more conservative kind of companies, or even if you're looking just to implement it while, for instance, doing your own house or something like that. Okay, it's useful. Okay, but then if you're looking to go more on the tech side of things, I would definitely say that you need to look into agile. Okay, and then you need to look also to hybrid. Okay, because those are the project management methodologies that are more in demand. Okay, so stick around for the next one. Okay, let's then talk about tools. Okay, what are the tools that you should actually consider, okay, to improve the way you manage your projects? Okay, so I'm going to give you my personal advice. Okay, so I've worked already with loads of different tools. Okay, and these are the tools that I'm currently using as we stand. Okay, so for instance, if we're looking at the day-to-day, okay, normally speaking, I use Trello, okay? So you can also use Asana as an example, planner as well, okay? So this allows me to manage my day-to-day. So I build up the Trello board and I put in there what is it that is important for me to take a look at in terms of to do, okay? What is it that I'm going to be doing today? Also, for instance, do I have a blocker? And then last but not least, done, okay? Things that are done, I just move it across. So whenever I'm in the middle of a meeting or whenever I'm coming out of a meeting, if I have anything that I need to take a note at, this is where I put things. I put directly on Trello on those different kinds of buckets, let's put it like that. Then moving on and looking into the project in itself, okay? From a project implementation, I use Jira, okay? There are other solutions out there, and I would not say that Jira is the best, but it's definitely one of the best, okay? So normally speaking, I use Jira, okay? Because it allows for you to have a complete view of your entire sprint, okay? Normally as well, what I would give you as an advice, have always 2 sprints in advance, because that allows you to have a better understanding in terms of what is it that you need to build, looking to your planning, but also the different types of people that you need to have to work, available to work on those given tickets that you are building. Okay, so then the other thing that I would actually underline in terms of Jira is because Jira allows for you to not just having a drag and drop kind of solution, but allows for you to tailor the board. You can have different, let's say, status. You can have, like, for instance, to do, in progress, QA, block, whatever may be the way that you actually are managing your project. And also the other thing is that inside the tickets of Jira, you're gonna find different let's say steps, okay, or fields, and those fields are all or if not all, most of them are customizable, so you can actually add or take out fields of the ticket in itself, so that it's actually more tailored to your approach in terms of project management. Okay, then the other thing that I would also underline moving forward is mostly let's say in managing costs and assignment, etc. Normally speaking, I would say there are several solutions out there. Okay, one of the things that I would underline as being one of the most interesting ones is actually PSA, okay, from Financial Force. Okay, those are some of the tools that actually allows for you to have a good understanding of the cost of the project, the outlook of the project. Also allows for you to have actually a better understanding on the way you are managing your different resources. You can assign people, take people out, etc. So that is another tool that I would say that is quite interesting that you should be actually looking at. Okay, I started to use PSA for quite a while, and I definitely think it's one of the best tools for managing the process of cost and what have you. Okay, then the other thing that I would underline as being one of the interesting solutions is around, for instance, taking notes. Okay, for every meeting that you are at, you should actually be able to take notes. So you have different solutions as well. Okay, for instance, you have the standard Word, but also you have OneNote, you have Evernote, you have different and small solutions that actually allows for you to take the notes, okay, and you can actually leverage that and pick it up so that you can actually prep your meetings, you can prep the next steps. So it's important for you to actually to choose a tool that you're going to be using to take your notes so that you can actually know how to prep yourself for the next meeting. Okay, then another solution that I would underline in terms of project management is that within DevOps, and when you are prepping yourself actually to go into production, okay, you are building everything around, for instance, the CRM, and you are actually up to a point that actually wants to do the release. Okay, you have different solutions. Of course, if you're looking to Salesforce, okay, you have the normal and standard change sets, okay? But change sets have some limitations, okay? They are heavily manual, more prone to error. Okay, this is where I would highly advise you to take a look at GitHub, Copado, or Flossum, okay? I'm a Flossum certified, so I'm a bit biased, okay? But I do think that Flossum is actually a better solution than the other two, okay? But nevertheless, Copado is actually quite good as well, okay? Both of which, Flossum and Copado, allow for loads of automations. They allow for integration between, for instance, the CRM and the Jira, where you are actually taking care of your implementation. So I think that is a really a good solution for you to take at or look at, because you're going to be completely cutting on your number of errors that you're going to have on the back of your release. Therefore, you're going to be much more efficient. Therefore, you're going to be saving time and having time for you, for your friends, for your family. Okay, so that is also important. Then the other topic that I would underline in terms of project management and looking at tools, okay, is the communication, okay, chatting. Okay, so normally I think that the best solution that I came across is actually Slack. Okay, but Slack has some kind of drawbacks, in the sense that it can be really chaotic up to a certain point. Okay, but it's on you to actually to put some governance in place so that is not as chaotic. Okay, but you have other solutions. Okay, aside from that, the WhatsApp Professional is a good solution. You have Teams also, that is a good solution. So take a look at those because all of them together for sure will allow you to have a much more efficient way of actually managing your projects. Okay, so stick around for the bonus track. Close, then we have the bonus track. So today I will give you 15 minutes free advice on anything that has to do with project management. Okay, so what is it that you can actually expect me to be able to address or to reply? Okay, so if you have questions with regards to project management methodologies, okay, you are unsure on what are the ones that you should be actually be looking to embrace, what are the ones that have higher demand, what are the ones that, for instance, are better paid, okay, I'm here for you. Don't hesitate and just reach out. If you have also questions around a specific project that you are struggling and you want some advice, okay, just let me know. I'm also here for you, okay. And if you have questions, for instance, with regards to tools, you're looking to have my advice with regards to that. I already work with loads of different tools in terms of project management. Feel free, okay, and reach out. Okay, so that's it, guys. Hopefully this was an interesting session. Okay, if you have any questions whatsoever, once more, I'm here for you. Okay, thank you once more. Join me on this journey, subscribe, and have a lovely day. Okay, take care. Cheers.